The first thing the pandemic is telling us and somehow teaching us is that we may end up in situations of what we call extreme uncertainty. I think the disruptive nature of what we are witnessing is unprecedented, literally. Even in wartime, we had steps towards and the possibility to get prepared. While this has happened, in business cycle terms, overnight. We need first to acknowledge that many businesses, entrepreneurs, and managers are struggling right now, and as usual, this will require, first of all, a response in terms of survival response. So looking into means and opportunities to keep the business open, to protect jobs particularly. And this deals with the role of the government and state. But while we're doing that, I think there is an opportunity, and I truly believe that, of rethinking what we are doing, and perhaps certain projects or ideas that we had there and discussed with colleagues or partners that couldn't be applied because it was not the right time. We didn't have time. Perhaps now will gain more traction and will make more sense. I think what's happening in the first place is what we are all witnessing everywhere in the world is that, of course, we can't eat anywhere else than in our house. We need to cook, and anything that connects food products with sociality, with the social dimension of food, has changed and will change no matter what, at least for the next 6, perhaps 24 months. So restaurants, hotels will have to reinvent the way they use food in their services. So 2 big shocks. If we focus on the consumption side, the demand side, eating at home, consuming food at home and with our family members will be an issue for the next few months, no matter what. I think, food products were purchased by families, final consumers online already. But I suppose a number of business models, particularly around retailing and restaurants, will more and more push for online trading of food, fresh food, ready to eat food products. So I think what is happening will stay. I expect that our habits will more and more include ordering or engaging with food products online. If you are dealing with a business to consumer model, that engagement with your consumers, customers, will have to change. And I think the digital space, whatever it is, will need to become an infrastructure, a permanent, stable social infrastructure for our engagement. Particularly in Western countries, I don't see on any other alternative to that, because food is connected and is coupled with sociality, with encountering the other, meeting up, and the physical space. So I suppose having or developing expertise and skills in social media, as well as in really the social infrastructural component of the online and the digital world will be key. I think this is going to stay. We are just seeing an acceleration there. For business to business models, I suppose it's really about the type of supply chain you are in. So if you are producing ingredients for food manufacture, it's one thing. Perhaps it's not going to change too much. But if you are dealing with supermarkets and big retailers, I think there will be a change in the way retailers will shape their commercial relations, because retailing will change as well. So perhaps we go back to where we were. So we will be going into retailing and shopping stuff in the supermarkets as we used to do. But for a long time, this is going to be under scrutiny, I suppose. We'll have to accommodate, just-in-time delivery or new forms of products. There were a number of challenges already, of course, in place. I mentioned climate change, but in general, I think the agricultural and food sector was already under pressure due to resource scarcity and a different relation with how we use particularly natural resources. I'm talking about fresh water, fresh and clean water, but also topsoil, and in general the natural world, or what we call in academic terms the natural capital. So I think the last 50 years, I'm now focusing particularly in Western countries, we have been witnessing an abundance of food products, but at the same time an unprecedented diffusion of other type of epidemics like obesity on one end, and at the same time more and more people not being able to access food and affordable food. One way to look into solutions to those pressures is from, and that's basically the art of what I do, it's circular economy and what we call circular business models. So I think that what we will be witnessing in the next few years could be a different way of engaging with food in terms of production, distribution, and consumption that try to tackle old problems and also perhaps the new problems coming from the pandemic itself. So to understand what we mean by circular economy, we first need to understand what we mean and we understand as linear economy. So we can think about really our economy and our interconnected global economy as being linear. So linear means, first of all, being extractive. In a nutshell, it means that really all industry and sectors rely on mining natural resources, including agriculture. For example, we mine the fertility of the soil, and by mining, I literally mean, we extract the capacity that topsoils do have to support food production at agricultural level. So the first element of a circular economy is to challenge this extractive nature of all businesses. And of course, mining is more evident if we think about, fossil resources like oil or any other minerals. So if we think about this, we first extract resources in a form or in another, and then through complex supply chains, we produce products in general and food products in particular, as well as services connected to these products. So this is basically what we call supply chains that are pretty much linear, and they end up serving consumers or users that very quickly engage with these products and services, and whatever is left of these products and services, they dump. They basically waste whatever is left over. And that's the second element of linear systems, of linear economy, that circularity is trying to challenge. So this economy is producing a lot of waste, and we waste a lot of materials after having added a lot of value to it. So, we may take perhaps 12 months to produce all the ingredients and the materials and the components of that relatively simple product. And then in 5 minutes, we consume it, and the rest is basically become waste. Now, if we multiply these and we apply these for any given product, this is an incredible amount of waste that we are generating. And I'm not just talking about the material waste, I'm also talking about the waste of value, including labor and energy, that is embedded in any given product. So this is linear. What the circular economists try to do is to design products that first reduce what we mine from natural systems, so we don't need to extract more resources. And that's what we call, design solutions. And on the other end, we try to minimize, if not completely eliminate waste. For example, designing packaging that could be reused for more than just one cycle of consumption. Ideally, packaging that we could use forever. So closing loops of materials in order to reduce virgin materials, raw materials coming from the natural systems, and eliminating waste is what circular economy is all about. At the industrial scale, the leftover of food production is a cost for any company. So what we were discussing, before the pandemic, was an idea of valorizing, give value to waste associated to food production or agricultural production. At this stage, we have a couple of models already experimented that I think are representing business propositions. One could be, for example, platform technologies that could transform waste into fertilizers or energy digestate of an anaerobic digester, or a combination of that. So far, this connection between consumers and primary producers has been a fashionable niche. We call them alternative networks or alternative food communities. But now this can become the business as usual type of way of sourcing certain commodities or ingredients. So we can call it a retro innovation, if you like. The milkman knocking on our door, or anything that could be a connection with local produce could become a very profitable and sustainable models. And I suppose anything in between is also relevant. So, how to be able to swap easily from or combine, sourcing from the supermarket, but also cooking something at home or provisioning something from a local producer can become the new normal. We do not have businesses that can offer these services, or as far as I'm concerned, in a large-scale fashion right now. So it's either the supermarket or the alternative community, food community thing, nothing in between. now that we are all engaging with food production and consumption at home, we also realize that food waste is deeply connected with those practices, and then how to manage food waste in a meaningful way is a business proposition that could emerge. For example, offering way of managing food waste for a neighborhood or to restaurants that are now serving families at home, or in connection with, storing more stuff at home, but also training people. We have to relearn certain things, the seasonality of food. Those are all key issues that may be of interest for consumers, consumers that now have practices that because of the pandemic. And this is circular thinking, and this is becoming now, could become a new segment. If we want to use a terminology from marketing, it's a new, those are all new value propositions. It's literally market segments, the type of consumers or customers that may be interested. And I'm not an entrepreneur, clearly, but I can foresee ideas popping up around, how to concentrate food waste at municipal level, how to connect restaurants that needs to reinvent themselves, how to train people to reduce food waste, managing the inventory of their stuff differently. Perhaps in connection with facilities or infrastructures. So I suppose, these hybrid models between public and private as well. So it could be that a municipality or a regional council is asking businesses to help to come up with different services at the crossroad of what is public service and private services. The type of business mindset that we have in Cornwall, I think supports the idea of trying something new that is rooted in long traditions, long-standing traditions, which I think might be really what we will be witnessing in the future. So, we are talking about this global local shift. Sometimes we talk about global systems. So, systems that do have customers somewhere overseas or, very far away, but are able to valorize resources that could be found around businesses. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that Cornwall can represent an example of this new way of doing business. So even trading internationally is something that is produced through materials and ideas that are available, for example, locally. And that's one dimension. And I think the other challenge and perhaps an opportunity for Cornish businesses dealing with food is indeed around how hospitality, the tourist sector will look like in the future due to the consequences of the pandemic, or because of new norms and regulations or new habits. How tourism, the holiday sector will react. So forms of collaboration between businesses busy in the holiday tourism and food producers will represent a strategic industry and sector for the future.